Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Oswego Dynasty off-season. So we are going to be looking at the players leaving. Luckily for us, we don't have a lot of players that are key contributors that are going to be leaving from us other than Preston Yancey and Marvin Rose. Marvin Rose was really impressive for us. He was basically our one cornerback that could actually cover. And at the end of the season there, he became our emergency quarterback and really helped us out when we needed to. He was basically able to do a lot of the stuff. A lot of those rushing yards are brought down because of sacks. But luckily for us, we're not really losing a lot of guys that really played a lot. A lot of these guys, they didn't play at all. And in terms of what we're getting back from our in-season recruiting, we're going to get a lot of stuff back. So we're going to go ahead and move on to transfers requests. And we're actually going to get somebody in a transfer request. We're going to get Dan Villari from Syracuse. So just a little bit of ways from us. This is going to be a huge get for us when he comes back and is eligible in the next year. He's got that good throw power and accuracy, and he's got good acceleration. Man, that's really nice to be able to have for us going into not this season, but the next season. So that will lead us into recruiting for the last little bit. So these are kind of the guys that we're looking to target right here at the beginning of this off season. But at the same time, we kind of want to maximize our ability to be able to get whoever we need. I mean, we only have a very small budget for this offseason because we spent it all during the season. So I think that getting rid of Antoine Miller is going to be the choice there. He's gonna cost a lot, and we just kind of don't know if we're going to get him or not. So these are kind of the guys that we're really looking at grabbing for this offseason. So we've got one more person that we've got to remove. It'd be nice to be able to get a tight end into this next season. That would be something that could be really good for us. But at the same time, it's going to be a tough decision to make here. So we're going to look at Alan Smith. And he's got finesse moves. He's got speed and finesse moves, a little bit of block shedding, but a B in finesse moves that puts him at least into the 80s. And that's looking really good. The tackling's not necessarily something that we necessarily enjoy, but that was something that we do like. So now looking at Johnny Barnes here. So we've got a B on impact blocking. He's already got 65 pass block, which is going to be around where that run block's going to be because it's a D, or it's going to be worse. So it could be bad, but the impact blocking being a B, that looks really fun. And that would be something that I would like to see more, but unfortunately we can't scout anymore. So now we're going to look at the tackle, Shannon McDonald. He's going to be a JUCO, and he's got C's across the board for his blocking, which is always lovely to see. It is going to be a battle, though. That is going to be tough. So looking at what if we actually need a tackle, Shannon McDonald, maybe not, because we've got the two. And we've got other guys that have got C's across the board, impact blocking at 79. That's pretty good. D's along the board for Fred Carter. Not necessarily what you like to see. So Shannon McDonald would definitely be the better player in this case. So it's kind of a tough decision on what we're going to end up doing with him. So looking at the guards here, so we've only got the one. So we've got Tyler Wright. So it'd be nice to have Johnny Barnes. So that's probably, and we're probably going to get him based off of how far ahead that we are. So maybe keep Johnny Barnes around so that we can have the two guards, because, I mean, we would love to be able to have anybody that's good. Alan Smith, that one's a little bit more tricky, though, because we do have a middle linebacker, and Alan Smith's going to be somebody that is going to be a challenge to get. But B for finesse moves and a C for block shedding with speed, a B on speed, that is something that we just kind of really want to have. And it'd be really tough to not keep with Alan Smith on this one. But like I said, the tight end, kind of would like to have a tight end. So we're going to probably invest into Marcus Mosley here, and we are going to end up getting rid of Shannon McDonald here, because we already have the 2 tackles, and it's going to be a battle to try and go against Duke, and Shannon McDonald is just, he costs a lot of money. So this is kind of how we're going to work out what we need to do. So we've got very limited budget for this one. So we're going to put 1,000 down on Marcus Mosley. We're going to put 1,000 on Johnny Barnes. Alan Smith, we're going to go ahead and add 1,000 on him. So that puts us at 9. That's pretty high for what we have. So we're going to have to decrease that down a little bit. So what are we going to be decreasing is really the key point there. Johnny Barnes we're really far ahead on, so dropping him down to 750. Marcus Mosley we're also super ahead on, so 500 for him. Even less so because we are still over budget. We need to hit the 8 mark, so 250 on Marcus Mosley. We're way up on him. Johnny Barnes, yeah, we can drop down on him as well because Alan Smith, we are in a little bit of a battle. So putting Johnny Barnes down at 500 and Marcus Mosley at 250, I think is pretty good. And leaving Alan Smith at that 1,500 mark, I think is going to be the right way to do it. So we're going to just go ahead and put those numbers on in. And hopefully we're going to be able to see all of them come to us. Alan Smith, would love to be able to have Alan Smith, his JUCO presence, his JUCO junior presence on the team with his speed and the finesse moves. It would be nice to have. So let's go ahead and move into signing day and see who we're going to end up getting. Marcus Mosley is not going to be coming to us, shockingly, and we're not even on his board, which is kind of surprising. It must be something about offering him the scholarship in this offseason or something. I'm not exactly sure what happened to us, but we did pick up Alan Smith. That was nice to be able to pick up. We did grab Johnny Barnes as well, so kind of made the right decisions, other than maybe we should have held on to Shannon McDonald. Not really sure exactly what happened to Marcus Mosley and why we all of a sudden are no longer on his board at all. If y'all know a little bit more than I do about why, that would be great. My running theory right now is that we needed to offer him the scholarship in week 15 and not in the off season. So not exactly sure what happened there. But we're going to look into the top classes here and kind of see. We already know we're expecting to be really poor, and we're last, which is not surprising. You do see a couple 3 stars and 2 stars. Those are quote unquote walk-on kids that we didn't recruit that will be cut into this offseason. So moving on into the training results, a lot of these guys are not going to be continuing to start, so a lot of these results don't necessarily matter. These quarterback ones, they do matter a little bit because we are going to be having them. But basically, almost every position other than the wide receiver and the quarterback position are going to be having brand new guys this season. So we'll see a little bit. Maybe the defensive guys, they might have a couple. Like Sid Jamison, he was pretty good, so we'll have to see how good he ended up becoming. 61, so he'll probably be fighting for a starting spot all by himself on that one. Nice to see that we got a little bit of improvement on the cornerbacks because we sure dang needed it. So we're going to be moving into the preseason now. So looking at all of these redshirting players, and I'm not really sure if we're going to be redshirting basically anybody. This is something that I like to do. I mentioned in my Billings Dynasty one, but something I don't like doing is redshirting guys unrealistically. So if we have like a new freshman that could be starting or getting playing time, so like being the backup, I'm not necessarily going to be the one that I'm not going to redshirt him. So like Tyler Wright is an example right there, or Daly there. Like I'm not going to redshirt those guys because I might need them if an injury happens. So it's kind of more realistic to real life. If you've got a guy that's going to probably be receiving playing time, then I'm gonna be. In real life, you're gonna see if they're gonna play or not. So looking at John Burke, Gardner, and same thing with Marcus Jackson, Logan. So their backups, they're good enough to be able to compete against those new guys that we have. So we're just going to redshirt them because I'm probably going to be playing the other guys because they've got the experience. They have a little bit more of what they understand what's going on. Sid Jamieson is probably going to be the one starting there. But we're going to be kind of just like moving along with what the team is doing there. So we're basically not redshirting anybody. We only have 4 corners, so you can't really redshirt Glover there. Would really love to, but we just don't have the ability to do that. So not going to redshirt Pierre because we don't need to save a punter. We just don't need to. So moving into the custom schedules, this is who we are looking at going up against: Utah, Texas A&M, Ohio, and Oregon, and how much they're paying us to play them. So we're going to add them into the schedule and just kind of figure out how this is going to work. So in our conference games for this year, we are going to be, again, staying in our same region against the Northeast. And then for our new region that we're going to play all the teams against, we're going to go up against the Central region. And the Southeast is going to get 2 teams. So we might see a couple repeats, and we might see from the Southeast and brand new teams from the Central. That'll be quite interesting to see a new region in our rotation that we have. So still going to have Navy and our rivals, Billows, Falls. Freaking hate them because they're just even par with us, but they're just that much better than us. Really annoying. So we've got 1 upgrade for Happy Williams going into this year. So a reminder, we're going to flip a coin to decide if it's going to be game management and recruiting. And then we're going to flip another coin to determine what it's going to be. So there's the rules there for you. So we're going to flip a coin and we're going to hope for tails on this one to try and get recruiting. And it's going to be heads. So that is going to be a game management 1. So we don't get any improvements into that one. So we're going to flip that coin again and it's going to come up tails. So that means we're going to get some antifreeze on this one for the coaching upgrade for Happy Williams. Would have loved to have picked up a little bit of the recruiting one, especially the scouting, because having just 10% scouted on these recruits is really tough. So we're going to be looking at this depth chart real quick for us and kind of see where our new starters are going to be. We've got a whole brand new offensive line, which should be extremely helpful. Van der Meulen, he's going to be a returning starter, which is surprising for us, but we just didn't pick up any guys that were good enough to really take that spot. Sid Jamieson, he's going to go take the starting role. Again, he was a key player for us last season. Stephen Burks, 73 overall. He's going to be fantastic. That is somebody that we really wanted in the regular season for us, and we're going to really utilize him, moving him to the middle linebacker position from his outside linebacker spot. So now we're going to have brand new corners. We've got the 4 of them right now, so we're going to really rely on our former players on that one just to give us just a little bit of help on that for us. We got 2 punters, which will be kind of interesting to have. We've got a rugby style, and then we've got our normal guy. So maybe we see a little bit of fun stuff there, but probably not. Probably just utilizing Greg Thompson on that one. So we're going to move into recruiting, and here are the team needs that we have this year. We have very few seniors on the roster, but the ones that we do have, we have the needs really easy on those ones. So we're going to be looking at the pipeline states because that is going to determine what neighbor region what our region neighbor is going to be. And our pipelines are telling us that we're going to be moving into that green region, that more north central regions. So those are going to be our neighbors. for this year, which is going to be pretty difficult for us. We've been going after a lot of the guys down there below us, but at this point, that's just kind of what we're going to be looking at for our region neighbor, which will help determine which that side that's going to be. That's going to be the 3 costed people and then the 4 costed people. So that's mainly the big deal on that one. So here is going to be our recruiting board for the year. These are the players that we are going to be kind of looking at right now in the moment. The big 2-star guy that we do get to go after, we're going to be going after Bubba Johnson. He's going to be a JUCO junior, and if we were to be able to get him, he's out of Connecticut as well, so he's pretty close. So if we were able to get him, that'd be massive. He's a defensive end rated at 74 overall right now, but he's a pass rusher, so it'll be really nice to be able to have a guy like him. We've got a couple other 2-star guys that we've got on our radar to try and keep an eye out for them, just in case Bubba Johnson ends up not wanting to go after us. So we've got a couple options, looking at a halfback, another defensive end, a defensive tackle, an outside linebacker, and a free safety. Ended up going with Bubba Johnson instead of the halfback because we already have Marcus Seals that we picked up and Obi Hopkins coming back next year as well. So we kind of don't need another halfback that we're going to be using our 2-star on. Want to be a bit more strategic about who we're using the 2-stars on so that we can really utilize a playmaker with the 2-star, because these 1-stars, I mean, we've seen that we've got a couple guys that are highly rated, but then we've got other guys that are really poorly rated that are in the 40s or the very low 50s. So we're going to be wanting to really add some side to it so that we have some playmaking ability at our 2-star level, kind of like what Marcus Seals is hopefully going to be for us with his speed. A little bit of what's going on in the recruiting, kind of the strategy going into this year for us is mostly we're going to be grabbing a couple depth guys, mostly because we've got guys that are good enough to be starters right now, and they're freshmen or they're JUCO juniors, so they still got another year. So trying to pick up a couple of guys that are a bit more of a non-starter level so that they can be able to redshirt and move on into next year's to continue us going into bigger and better things. But there are some occasions where we want to go and grab somebody that it will fill a spot really quickly. We've got the defensive tackles we're looking at that are going to be a couple of those guys that we're going to be trying to really improve really quickly with better overall players. And then there are other positions where we're going to be looking to just fill in some depth. And coming onto the screen is our recruiting totals that we are going to be working with, a little bit higher than what we had last year. So I'm excited to be able to try and go after a couple more guys into this year. But that is going to be it for this off season. Nice, short and sweet for this Oswego team. Not a lot going on in this off season, but I'm excited for this next season to start with all the new additions that we have.